It looks like we have a quorum, right, Ms. Joan?
Yes, you do.
Okay, thank you, my friend. Dr. Grenier, are you ready to party?
Yes, I am.
All right, then it's my honor to open up the Groton Board of Education regular meeting for September 28th at 6 o'clock. And the first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Beth, I'm hoping that you would be willing to lead us. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
of the United States of America
and to
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Beth. Oh, there's Rita. Yay. Okay, so the recognition of visitors or delegates. Do we have any of that sort tonight, Mr. Grenier, Dr. Grenier?
No, and I'm wondering, the only one I'm hoping to introduce is Zay's colleague. Zay, do we know if Allison is here?
Hi.
Zay,
Okay,
would you know if she's here, Zay?
She just texted me. I'm reading it right now.
Okay.
That's okay. We have other items
Yeah,
before
okay,
that.
keep going. Yep.
So let's do that. So the next portion of the Board of Education budget meeting is the portion of the agenda where the board welcomes comments from citizens. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and if possible to email their written responses into the superintendent's office. And presentation should be related to matters pertinent to Groton, and board members will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and cannot respond during the comments of citizen portion of the board meeting. Citizens should state their name and address for the record. And I have it from a chat. I have Mike Whitney. So Mike, I will recognize you. Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Mike, you are.
Thank you. I just have a couple things to say. First of all, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we
I don't know if
can.
you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I know there have only been a couple cases that I've heard of in the Groton school system for COVID. And I know letters have been sent out to the people that are in the school community of that individual school or schools. I'd like actually if on the website, the school website, you could just post those letters. I think that'd be helpful in getting the information out, because people actually are kind of trading information on what letters have been received. And I think the letters have been helpful to the school community, but I think they would be helpful to the whole Groton Public Schools community. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it's a question about Wednesdays at the middle school. Right now, there are no scheduled class periods. They're for office hours. And I know the whole middle school schedule is new this year. And I was wondering, one, was that going to be like that if we were fully back to school? And two, is that way we're going to move forward.
We're not catching you well.
School year, if it stays in a hybrid plan. 'Cause to me, it seems like we're losing a lot of instructional time.
So Mike, I just want to paraphrase because you became somewhat disjointed in your
I don't know. Too much.
This isn't working.
1 second, Lee. Let me see if I can try to
Yeah.
help.
Could you hear anything?
So Mike, we really can't hear you, but I think what your question was on the second point was what was happening instructionally on Wednesdays at the middle school. That is what the board heard.
Kim, I think he also said, what is the plan moving forward towards a full in, and how is the board going to make that decision?
Okay,
I can, yeah,
Not-
okay,
not yet. We're in the comments. We're in the
Yep.
comment section.
okay.
Mike, did Mike Whitney, did Dr. Grenier and I catch your last point, which was what's the plan for opening full and what's happening on the Wednesday instructional time in the middle school?
Yeah, actually, it's going forward with the Wednesday. If we stay in hybrid, is it going to transition to scheduled class periods, or is that just how it's going to be office hours?
We'll see if we can't get that answered tonight, whether that gets answered. Okay, Mike?
And the last thing I just wanted to say, thank you to Dr. Grenier. It's been a pleasure interacting with him, and it's always good knowing he's at the helm.
Is there anyone else that would like to be recognized? It was helpful to note it in the chat. Also, if there is someone who would like to state anything, it would be helpful to also sort of quickly do the question, if possible, in the chat, because if we have another experience, it becomes difficult to talk. But do we have anyone else that is interested in speaking? Board, do we see anyone else that looks like they are? Okay, hearing none, I'm moving from the comments from citizens portion. And Dr. Grenier, is there any quick information to answer Mr. Whitney's issues around what's happening on the Wednesday, or does that need to go back to the middle school team?
The plan on Wednesdays is to have 2 hours of some instruction and some office hours, for typically the first 2 hours of the day. And then the remainder of the day, the remaining 5 hours, teachers use that time for catching up on correcting of work, pre-recording lessons, getting set up for the next couple of days. So I think that will continue indefinitely. I'm going to report on some focus groups, and the focus groups that I've had with students as the Wednesdays, the feedback I've gotten is actually quite positive. The kids really enjoy being able to Zoom in and talk to their teachers.
So I'm going to have us stay to the
Yeah.
responding to the comment section.
Yep.
Sorry, Dr. Grenier.
And then we'll talk about the full in when we get to that part. Susan's going to talk about it. And I've got an update from Ledge Light, which I'll share at that time.
Okay, great. And is there a way that we can throw on, probably not throwing, but is there a way to place the letters
Sure.
from you
Yeah.
to the site?
I made a note of it. We'll put those on our website.
Awesome. Thank you very much. There was a chat asking if we're going to have a conversation about moving from hybrid, and I think that that's going to be part of your discussion a little bit later. So not that I'm not going to address it. I hear it, I see it. Thank you. But it looks like we are going to be having that in a little bit. And thank you, Tracy. Liz?
I don't know if this is the right place to ask this question, but in terms of the letters, it seems like the letters are is this a template that's being used? Because all of them seem to be the same.
Okay, so that will be discussed in the communication portion of the agenda, that right
Got
now
it.
we're responding to the questions that are coming right to the board.
That's why I started the way I did. Thank you.
Nope, that's great. Rita?
Yes, could Dr. Grenier answer Mike Whitney's question about the 2 hours of instruction? He said presently the teachers are only having office hours. So I'd like to know whether or not the 2 hours of instruction are going to take place at the middle school, as well as the conferences that if you need to talk to your teacher.
Yeah, I'll get the word out. I'll talk to Peter. I'm not. They've only had 1 week so far of actual classes, and I know they've been having some tough times. That I think we've addressed it. with the internet connection. So I'll find out. Clearly, there's an expectation that there would be some interaction with the students as well as office hours on those days, on the Wednesdays.
Thank you. That's happening at the other schools, correct?
Yes, yes.
Any other comments from the board about the comments from the citizens? All right, if not, we are going to be moving on to the student representative reports. Hey, Zay, did you miss us?
Yes, very much.
Do
Can
we
you
know?
hear me?
Oh, it is very robotic. It's very buffered.
One of the things that seems to help is if you turn off your video and do the speaking, it seems like it will access. We could try that.
Oh, are you on the thing?
Hello?
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
better.
It is a little bit better, Zay.
Now? Now,
Hey. We can hear you much better.
okay. What were you going to ask me, Miss Watson?
Oh, I was going to see whether your new colleague was here for us to be introduced to her.
Sadly, she couldn't make it tonight because she just recently had a procedure on her back. And the anesthesia is still getting to her, so she thought that she was going to be able to make it, but last minute decision didn't work out.
Well, Zay, if you do chat with her, please let her know that the board is thinking of her, and I hope that she has a speedy recovery.
Yes, yes.
And Zay, do you have things to talk about?
I actually do. Only two, though. So students do enjoy the hybrid learning system. I have heard both positive and negative sides of it, but in the end, they all understand that we're doing the best we can to get interactive lessons to students during the school year, which I think is good that we all do understand that this virus is serious, which is the main concern. Another main concern in the air right now is really just flu season with the whole virus because we've never experienced anything like this.
Did we
Did we
lose
lose
Jay?
him?
I think we did. I just sent him a chat.
Oh man.
Oh, no, you're back.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is. Oh, gosh. Are you able to tell me what part you lost me at by any chance?
You were talking about the flu and the virus and that people are taking that seriously.
Okay, yeah, that the main concern as of right now is that students have been getting a little anxious when it comes to flu season in the winter and fall because
So Zay, we can't hear you.
No, I'm not hearing a thing.
And it looks like Dr. Grenier is actually trying to get a hold of him. I'm wondering. But I would recommend that we move forward and that we try to either see if Zay could actually write his comments and just kind of send it to us and we can add it as part of our attachment to our minutes. And I am sorry that this is happening because I so enjoy to hear his voice now that he is a senior. Dr. Grenier?
Kim, I'm on the, just give me 30 seconds. I'm on the phone. Okay, thanks. I'm on the line with the head of Ledgelight Health District, and I think there's an update on this whole coming back in full, but I can start in.
Well, you know what? Can we move to Susan?
No, that's.
Yeah, move to Susan. That'd be great.
Because I think that all of us and more are
Mhm.
very anxious to hear that.
Okay,
So
great.
Susan,
Thank you.
absolutely. Hello,
Hope
everyone.
he let- will he let me share? I'll get back to him.
Yes, you're able to share.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mark. First, I wanted to say that Mike and I, we've really been listening a lot. We've been hardly talking, or, we might ask some questions, but we've been listening to colleagues, the principals, the AGSA, the GEA, our teacher colleagues, our students. We had a great day on Friday. I think he wrote to everyone about our visit. I was able to zoom in on an IB class and got out in the breakout room with some kids and just was amazed at how things were going. But I do know it's a heavy lift. I mean, our teachers at Charles Barnum sat under a tree with us and just really were honest with us about how things are going, and they're working so hard, and it's a job that you're teaching the children in front of you and the teachers and the children remotely, the children who are coming in part of the time and the kids that aren't coming in at all. So we really recognize, and technology has been a challenge. There have been a lot of challenges. So we're really taking it from a very honest perspective. One of the things, though, that we've asked for is for the principals to actually have focus groups with their teachers and some of their parents that have been on these focus groups. But we wanted to gain even a bigger perspective by surveying. So we would like to survey our parents and our teachers and our students to really get an essence of how this is working, how it's working as a hybrid, how it's working as full distance. And we know that the answer is always going to be, it works much better when they're with us all the time. But we are trying to make the most out of this situation and try to safeguard all of the adults and children in our care. I mean, that's been a #1 goal, but also to teach them the best we can. So what I'd like to do is share with you one of the surveys. I can start with the parent survey and just give you a sense of it. We actually had some of these questions come directly from teachers and parents themselves, and we kind of streamlined them. So the two surveys have a lot in common, and I think it'll give us a lot of data so that the board can make an informed decision on what are our next steps. So we'll be bringing you this data and also the data from the focus groups. So if I share with you, this is the parent survey. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So it basically asks parents where their children attend school. And if you're a mom like me with 4, you get to answer it 4 times. 1 for each child. And it talks about which model that the family is using or each child is using, whether it's hybrid or blended or full distance. And have they considered switching to another model? Like we were looking today, and there have been some parents that were in remote that have come back to hybrid, and there's some that are hybrid that have gone to remote. So we then asked the question, if they've considered this model, give us an answer to why that might be true. Why are they doing that? And then we talk about the different technologies, how comfortable are the children following the program? And then is your child able to understand the instruction that they're receiving through these different modalities? And are they able to complete their work? Are the children engaged on the days that they are learning at home, either full remote or hybrid? And then to give us we have open-ended responses as well, so that parents can really share with us some of the particulars. And then how useful are the Wednesdays? Because we did want to know that question. I know Mike Whitney had just asked it, but we are curious. That is a day, not just for makeup work. That's an independent practice day. That's a day that some of the long-term assignments are being able to be worked on. And there is instruction involved. I know it looks a little different at each of the levels, and there's office hours. So we can get more response back to the board and for the community on that. And then in terms of instructions, what seems to be best fit for your child from learning from home. Everything from live lessons, pre-recorded, the blended live Zoom, the collaboration with peers, written step-by-step assignments on slides, and they can answer as many of these that are working for their kids as they want. So they might answer all of those things. They might answer just a few of them. And then what additional resources or tools would you think would be helpful for your children? So we really tried to, here's some other things that we've put into place: schedules, grading, attendance, technology. And are there any concerns or questions about these parameters? And then, feel free to give us any additional thoughts, and then they rotate back through this loop if they have more children. And the teacher survey is very similar. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but you'll get a sense of it, that we're asking the teachers some of the same questions. How's this technology thing working for you and your students? What's the skill level for these different programs? So this will help identify needs for professional development. And then how is the technology working? And we know that the connectivity isn't always so good. We see that in our own Zoom meetings. And then we talk about engagement. What's engaging? How engaged are your students? What seems to engage them the most? How long does attendance take? Because we have now attendance addendum and parameters on attendance, whether it's hybrid, remote. So we're collecting that data and sending it to the state. And, which areas require more support? I really want to know from teachers where they need our support. And then we also asked about engagement of students as well from the teachers. What are they seeing that how kids are engaged, and how, the amount of kids, most of the kids participating, about half, only a few. So I think that we're going to get some really dynamic information. I think listening to groups of teachers gives Mike and I a lot of information, and to our students and, to the administrators. But I think when you do a survey, you really send it out to everyone. Everyone has the opportunity to answer. And I think that's what we really want to hear from. So we'll really try to elicit a very positive response on this. And the focus groups are going on, so we'll be able to report back to the board to let them know, and that will hopefully help steer us in the right direction for what are some of the next steps.
Liz, do you have a question?
Yeah, Susan, has this teacher survey gone out yet?
No. As a matter of fact, it's going to be sent to the principals and to Beth and Doug for them to look at, and then we'll decide as a group when that's going to be sent out.
Okay. Thank
Same
you.
thing with the parents. I know that we have this survey. We also have a naming of the elementary school survey. So Mike and I just need to talk about when these surveys go out and when it's timely to get them back, so that you'll have the information you need.
Thank you.
I know the focus groups, Mike, were happening this week, supposedly this week.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Most of them this week, maybe a couple next week.
Right.
And Susan, there was a question to see whether the teacher survey was going to be going out to the staff, like the paras as well.
Yes, I should have said, it has a lot to do with the instruction. So the paras might be able to answer some of the questions, but it's mostly for certified staff, because they're the ones who, really are in charge of the instruction for kids. But there might be things that the paras are able to answer on the survey. We also want to create a survey for students. So asking some of those same questions that we're asking parents and teachers, but asking them of the students. And I think there's some upper elementary kids who would be able to answer some of these questions, and middle school and high school students as well.
Rita?
Susan, what steps are we taking to enhance the internet connections with Zoom and so forth if there are difficulties? Or is this a question for Dennis?
Well, Dennis is pretty much on top of that. We do have a help desk And we are kind of monitoring what are some of the technical difficulties. Sometimes we're able to fix it at our end, and mostly what we found is it's not an issue with the amount of power that our internet has for the district, but it's something that's happening like on the Zoom side, or it's happening outside of our parameters on the district. Like even with this meeting, you know, when we're at home, sometimes it's our connectivity that's not happening. So we are keeping track of all of those, you know, help desk questions and, you know, the different areas of concern. I know that some of our computers are struggling because we gave them out about 6 years ago. So we've got a plan for that too. But it seems like, and a lot of software has been purchased and given out. So there's a lot of new learning. There's a lot of connectivity that needs to happen from that, but we're kind of marching along and trying to prioritize and get them into the hands of teachers and students.
Well, this is my second part. I've read that there are quite a few towns that are trying to have, you know, better internet connections for all their residents dealing with this, especially for going forward. And I was wondering if this is something, when you have the liaison meeting with the town and the city, if we could address, if there could be a, you know, like a townwide, so that we could, all our residents will be able to access the internet properly.
That's a really good point, Rita. It is a shared community responsibility, isn't it?
Yes, yeah,
And
it's
I
just
know
not
that
the school
Dennis
board.
did find that there was some programs that families can receive where they can get
Yes.
free internet. And so I think we just need to get that information out to our families.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Lee? Lee?
Yes, I'm on. Leon Obry came up to me yesterday and said that there were some people always that were saying that the computers were a problem at Fitch. I emailed Dennis. He got back to me in half an hour and said they are aware of it and they're working on it. You know, these are called computers. It doesn't always work well. If people could just be a little patient. Dennis is and his staff are doing the very best they can. And maybe we don't need to talk a whole lot about getting the whole town of Groton connected. Let's just try to do what we can for our students and our teachers.
Well, this board and through our grants and through the Connecticut State Department of Education has really provided for our town. We have these beautiful Dell laptops, thanks to the Dalios, 1,000 of them at Fitch High School that are going right into the hands of students, whether they're in labs, whether the freshman class is receiving them, whether we have some teachers that will be able to use them. And, you know, besides that, we have the Chromebooks that were ordered through Alliance and some Promethean boards. So we are getting a lot of equipment. The problem is supply and demand. The supply, we're requesting is a large supply. The demand is great. So we're still waiting for some of the resources. So we're trying to fill in the gaps as we go, but there will be plenty of technology in the hands of our students and staff once we get through this whole process.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Susan. Any other questions for Susan before we go back to Mike? There was a question about whether the parent focus groups are going to be for all grade levels.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
The other thing I would observe, and I'll work my way back to some of the information we're learning from teachers, is I think tonight's meeting is a pretty good example of the frustration that teachers face. You know, we try to listen to Mike Whitney and we can't hear him. We try to get Zay and he, you know, I don't know whose technology is falling apart, but you can imagine if you're trying to put a class out to 22 students and 2 of your students are, you know, sort of breaking up the way we're breaking up, it becomes very, very difficult. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to go back to Susan's, I'm gonna share if I can, Mark. I wanted to go back to this whole question because I literally just got off the line with with Steve Mansfield, who's the head of Ledgelight Health District. And he sent out a note today that I wanted I wanted the board to see. And
Mike, I sent rather late because I didn't get it until late, but that was forwarded to me. The
Oh,
board
great.
members actually got it. I don't know if they've seen it, but they
okay.
emailed it.
Basically, like Ledgelight, I didn't even know about this because for some reason I didn't get it, but I got a call from a reporter. And what Ledgelight is saying is, if you can see my cursor, they have seen a fairly extensive increase in the number of cases in the last couple of weeks. So you see here the week of August 22nd, the week of the 19th to the 25th, there were 60 cases. This is in the Ledgelight Health District. And just in the last 2 days, I've notified both the middle school and the high school. We had individuals at the schools identified over the weekend as well. And so what Steve Mansfield goes on to say is that the hybrid model actually is I don't know if they go quite so far as recommending it, but they say it may reduce transmissions. We can have appropriate social distancing. So it just says at the bottom, we recognize some school districts and municipalities are experiencing very low cases. Then they may choose to continue to move to in-person, full in-person. While you consider above factors, the ability to provide COVID environment. The health officials are very concerned about this. And the notion, what I reported to the day was having 1,000 kids return to the high school and 1,000 kids return to the middle school is not something that I would recommend given the increase in the number of cases. There are some districts that are, I would say, there's a handful of districts in southeastern Connecticut. I'm going to stop sharing. There's a handful of districts in southeastern Connecticut who are considering going back full the first or second week of October. There's more districts, there's probably 7 or 8 districts that are going to reconsider the possibility of coming back, as the Groton board said right from the beginning, that in mid-October, we would reassess, and that's part of what Susan just reported on, trying to get the data for that, and that they might come back like the 1st of November. I think everyone, especially the Ledgelight health officials, are concerned about the increasing number of cases. They are doing, from my perspective, an outstanding job. Unfortunately, I know this because I have been working with them pretty diligently. We have cases, we have concerns that we report, and we have individuals tested. Because of the low positivity rate, thank God, we often get the result that it is a negative test. But I can tell you, we are receiving almost daily new reports, multiple new reports. So the person gets tested, then they get, we notify Ledgelight, and then we get the test results. 98.5% of the cases are coming back negative. So, but we have experienced, as I said, two cases just this weekend, one at the middle school and one at the high school. So this notion of coming back full, I think I would just throw, we could talk about this as we go through October. One of my measures is going to be the number of people who feel confident enough to come back to hybrid. At the high school, we've actually seen a different trend. 15% of the kids started full distance, full remote learning, and now that's up to 23%. So we want to be careful, obviously, but unless you have any questions, I'm going to go back to what I was going to say to begin with.
Do
So,
we have any, do people have questions about what Dr. Grenier was talking about? The board, please?
Could you repeat the percentages at the high school that are now full remote?
23% are now full remote at the high school. In some of the elementary schools, I was at Charles Barnum and Catherine Kolnowski on Friday, and it's closer to 33%. About a third of it.
Which, a third?
At
At
both,
Charles
both
Barnum and,
Charles Barnum and Claude Chester, yes. You know what? I'll get them all, and I'll put them in board notes. I think that would be helpful because to me that's a pretty important indicator.
Any other
Okay,
questions?
should I continue?
Dr. Grenier, are you saying that they're full remote, or are they homeschooling?
No, full remote.
Full remote. And do we have an increase in homeschool
We do.
students?
We have a significant increase. I'd say we've gone from, again, I can
That data.
I can give you those data on Friday, but I can tell you I typically sign at the beginning of the year maybe 10 homeschool and I'm signing 4 or 5 a day. So
Wow.
I think we're probably significantly up there. Well, way more than in the past.
I think it would be helpful for us not to do anecdotal
Yeah.
information. I think it would be much more important if we kind of hear about
Yeah.
what that is and like the school ages. I think that would be very helpful as well.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Please.
Homeschool and remote learning is two different things.
That's right.
They're very, very different. So if you're talking about homeschool, now there's a whole situation where these kids are not allowed on the buildings, on anything. So it's really different. So I think it'd be good if we're talking more about, remote learning than homeschool. Yeah.
I'll report both.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Any other questions from the board around that? Hearing none, let's go back to your report, Mike.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to report on was just kind of a school opening. We finished week 3. Susan and I have had some really good experiences. We visited classrooms, we visited teachers, spoken in a few cases I've spoken to both the teachers and the students. But on Friday, I hope I wrote this fairly clearly. I had a really interesting experience. The 3 5th grade teachers at Charles Barnum School invited us in to see a lesson. And what we saw was teacher A was actually teaching a live lesson with a document camera facing her. And she was sitting next to an easel, and she was writing a math lesson on the easel. I was fascinated to figure out what the other classes were doing, so I stepped next door, and next door there was the second 5th grade class with a teacher and about 8 children. The children were watching the Promethean board with the projection of the teacher A, but teacher B had all the remote children on her computer on the Zoom, just like we're looking at right now. And she was monitoring all the children from class A, class B, and class C. Then I went to the 3rd class, and teacher C was monitoring the chat, and he was answering questions for the kids as they went through the lesson. And then ultimately the teacher said to everybody that they needed to do a certain page of math problems in their book. It was it was pretty remarkable what they did. It took a lot of planning. And then they invited us to stick around for lunch so that we could debrief with the fifth grade team. And in fact, 12 teachers came. It was terrific. We sat outside. And so it was the whole third grade, no, 3 teachers. 3 third grade teachers, 3 fourth grade teachers, 3 fifth grade teachers, a speech pathologist, a kindergarten teacher, second grade teacher. And they gave us some really terrific information. You know, I don't want to be too pleasant about all this. The first thing is, this is incredibly difficult. They have the same problems that we're having, trying to get the kids to come in with the proper technology. One problem that was surprising to me is it's extremely difficult. I figured the kids in person would be okay and the kids at home would be somewhat disengaged. It seems like it's almost the opposite. The teachers are working so hard to engage the kids who are learning remotely that sometimes the kids in front of them are a bit disengaged, and that's a problem. But probably the biggest thing for me is that as a former teacher, they teach all day, and then the day is over, and they have the other 60% or so, 65%. They have to correct all that work that they've given out during the day. So it's a huge amount of work, and people were talking about, thank goodness for the Wednesdays where they can catch up a little bit. But I identified with that so much because I can see that after teaching all day, you're tired, and the idea of trying to engage these kids is extremely difficult. But as the 3 fifth grade teachers explained, they were all pretty tech savvy. You know, if we collaborate, I think we're going to be able to develop a system that, you know, I use the word sustainable a lot, Kim. Can we keep this up? I'm hoping that as we go through this pandemic, we're going to be able to, number one, get better at it. And everybody, to a person, said, we are doing much better than last spring. But to a person, they also said, we're not there yet. It is very difficult to pull off this kind of distance remote learning, even with the kids in front of you. But I will say this. Sometimes the kids lead the way. And we had, as you know, we had a football game the other night that was quite remarkable. It was with NFA, and both teams got together to talk about social justice. I was very, very moved by that. There's a video on the day website. And one of our students, whose name is Thomas Williams, was really quite eloquent. And then after the game, he said something that I'm going to repeat, I suspect, throughout the fall. He was talking about playing football with a mask and what a pain in the neck it was. But he said, we have to make this work. And I thought, boy, isn't that a great line for what we're trying to do right now? We have to try to make this work. It is really, really difficult, but I think we're getting better. I spoke to Dennis today. We got in another 200 Chromebooks. There's been a problem with delivery. Susan is working with the Alliance guys, and we're trying to get more Promethean boards at the high school. You know, this is like tonight, this is a work in progress. And you can imagine all the work that goes into a lesson plan, only to find out that you know, to 2 of your kids, 4 of your kids, their internet fails, or your internet fails. So it's really, it's a challenging, extremely challenging, but you know, I certainly don't want to say we're in the dark. I think last spring, when we were given 24 hours to figure this out, was frankly, we did not know. I mean, I was I was talking to teachers And they said, well, you know, my Clever app is doing this. And when I try to get the kids on, the parents on Remind, and then we go to Seesaw. And I looked at the person, I said, I don't even know what the heck you're talking about, some of these words. She said, I didn't know what those words meant, you know, 30 days ago. This is a new world that we've entered. And so I think we're doing great. I'm very proud of the work that we're doing, but I'm into this for the long haul. And I want to make sure that we're going to be able to have a really strong distance learning. And if these trends continue, which I pray that they don't, and we have to go to full distance learning, we are going to be night and day stronger, night and day different than we were in March. But I'd be happy to answer questions.
So any questions for Dr. Grenier? It looks like I'm going to do Jane, and then Elizabeth, or excuse me, Liz. I've never called you Elizabeth before in my life. And then Rita. Jane. Jane, you are on mute.
Sorry, blame the dog. It just seems that down the road, teachers and kids are going to be stronger, more independent learners. And kids in particular are going to be able to help each other far more and not rely so much on teachers, but much more on themselves.
Yeah. And as I mentioned last week, the State Board of Education is considering the removal of snow days and allowing us to switch over to full distance learning. I think you're right, Jane. In the middle of this mess, there's some real positive aspects here.
Yeah, it's not all bad.
Exactly.
Liz, and then Rita.
First, I want to say to all the teachers that are out there listening, thank you from the bottom of my heart and from the board. The second thing I want to say, though, is Dr. Grenier, you said something about the 5th grade getting 3 teachers together and they did it like as a team effect. Is that the norm that's going on right now? I know that my grandson has, he's one student of 4th grade in his district because they're total remote. And this is a suggestion, or this came from not only from there, but other people I know in the Midwest, that they take all their kids that are all 5th graders or all 4th graders and they divide them up. And so the teachers have a small amount because, and that way it helps to spread the wealth, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So is what happening in that 5th grade, is that the norm, or is that an example that we need to be looking at?
I think it's, the team teaching aspect is fairly common. I think these people, I mean, it was only one lesson and they'd be the first ones to tell you that it took them 3 weeks to get to that level. But I think, you know, I'm looking at Beth, and I know she's been working with her colleague, and yeah, I think team teaching is an exemplar that we need to take a look at. It doesn't mitigate the fact, you know, as I said, there's still a lot of work to be done after the school day is over. But if we could get, I'm hearing a lot of 3-person teams, because we seem to have a lot of them in the district, that somebody's taking math, somebody's taking writing, and somebody's taking reading. Yes, I think that's a model that we want to pursue. And the other thing the word that keeps popping up with teachers is that we're experimenting. And you know, we keep saying, keep going, keep experimenting.
And I would have to say this collaboration is something that I've always admired in this district from the time I came in, like the work that's happening in the summer, the department meetings, it's continuous, and that collaboration is really critical. And teachers have said over and over again, I don't know what I would have done without my colleagues through all of this. So I applaud that. I think that's what's getting us through, is the teamwork.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Grenier, when you visited, did you see any of the special classes like art and music, and how are they integrated into the day?
We did. The special teachers come to the children, so that the cohort of 8 or 9 kids or whatever it is stays in their room with the teacher. And then in one case, we saw an art teacher working with the group, and you know, they're resourceful and they brought in what they brought in. What impressed me is I saw a music class and the lesson was actually on the Promethean board, and the kids were following a pattern of rhythm, and it was really quite remarkable. I think there was even a keyboard up there, and they were doing. I think the teacher was showing them. But I mean, clearly, it's not the same. I know in fair weather, the band, the instrumentals, people are going outside. We saw a cute picture from SB Butler. They had the orchestra outside and kids with violins and cellos and other instruments. And so, but obviously the wind instruments are problematic. And I know we've really spread those children out. So I think the specials are going okay. PE classes, you know, as bad as the drought is, we've been lucky. We have not had very many days of foul weather. So I think that's going along pretty well, actually.
So and my other question is, when a student is fully remote, could they participate at the high school or the middle school in intramurals and sports?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Liz, before I recognize you, I just want to make sure that any other board members that haven't spoken can speak. That's okay. Rosemary?
I just wanted to remind people that one of the least talked about but more important aspects of remote learning and the hybrid is that we're keeping kids in cohorts, which makes for contact tracing possible, which we don't talk a lot about, but contact tracing is very important in the next few months.
Spoken like a true nurse. Thank you.
I know, I'm sorry, I had to say it.
Amen, sister. I've been spending a lot of time on that.
Jay or Andrea?
One of those things.
Jay or Andrea, before I go to, no? Okay, Liz.
Mike, what's happening? I hear a lot about the elementary school, but and some about the middle school, but we're not talking about the high school. What's happening at the high school? Are they actually working with making teams up? Is that happening there? What's happening? I know that tech support is stretched to the limit, and so I'm just wondering what type of supports are coming there. You know, have you been up there to visit?
I have. So let me talk about the middle school first. We have spent, as you can imagine, a fair amount of time solving some of these physical problems. Last week, actually, for the middle school, was the first full week of classes, of academic classes. The first week, if you remember, they were remote. Second week, they had kind of activity periods where they got to know the building and got to know each other. Last week was the first real week of academic classes. What I've heard from teachers there, again, technology problems. We've got issues with Promethean boards, and I'm sure that the teams clearly are working together, but it's a little different because they're not teaching like elementary folks are 3 or 4 different subjects. What I hear from the high school is actually 2 high school students, one of whom I actually know quite well because she's my granddaughter, and another one who is Rebecca Baez's son. They really thought that the whole Wednesday thing was going great. They had the opportunity to Zoom in and have one-on-one kind of tutorial support. I think the classes are going, you know, relatively well. But you know, as Zay said it, some students are doing quite well. Other students are really struggling with it. I think it's a real challenge. But I think overall the teachers are better prepared. We have better software programs. I think the special ed folks are feeling more comfortable. We're able to provide the services for those children as well as we possibly can. It's not quite the same. I'm gonna have to get a little bit more detailed information. And I'll make a visit there tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Grenier, I'm going to move us along, though I would love to hear more information about how the special ed services are going, because that
Okay.
cannot be an easy population to do hybrid or virtual or
Yep.
Monday, Tuesday. And I just think that it is such an integral part of our district that I would like to kind of hear about what's going on.
Okay.
So I have to say that that was a great picture of that transitional program. I thought that was great.
Yes.
But if we could move on, because we do have lots going on in our agenda.
Okay. So if I could, oh, I know where it is. I'm gonna share my screen. I hope. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about enrollment because in the process of putting the budget together, if you look at this center column here, we realize obviously three of the schools.
Am I the only one that's, I still have the
no.
legislative district.
Oh, you do? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
not
we still
All
have
right.
Ledgelight.
Okay. Shoot. Okay. Let me see if I could get this out of here. And does that show you anything different?
No?
Oh, damn. Okay.
This is sort of interesting.
I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to try to do it again. Okay, this should work. Okay.
Sometimes if you punch the screen.
Yeah, that's my wife's technique
there
that
it
I
is.
try to avoid. But you're right. So here's a, as I started to say, Claude Chester, Mary Marston, and SB Butler in FY22, there are no students there because those schools are going to be closed. So when Ken and I started to work on this, we realized two things. One is we had to develop a budget for the two larger elementary schools. And then we also had to figure out, and Susan and her staff were super helpful on this, how we would actually get to, don't get too alarmed with the numbers, but so Charles Barnum right now is 368 students. So we're saying, for the sake of argument, it's going to be about the same. Catherine Kolnowski has 413 and Northeast Academy has about 420. The two new schools, as you know, need to have a minimum of 604 students. So that's how we're being reimbursed anyway. And so what we've done is we've taken the West Side Elementary School and the Cutler Elementary School, which hopefully will be named the real names fairly soon. But if we take the one that's at West Side, if you notice, if you look here, whoops, if you look here, there are 140 students at any one time, but they are half-day students. So that hence there are 280 half-day students, 343 full-time students. So if everybody showed up, we certainly don't think we're going to have 623 students, but because we count every student and you count the half-day students twice, or you count every one of them, that gives you that enrollment. And then there are 56 students who are going to be in the early grades, which has a half-day program, so have 111. So what we're planning, and maybe Susan could chime in and talk about the half-day programs, if you could, Susan.
So one of the things we learned early on is that each of these buildings can be what we call a four-tier building, where they'll have 4 of every grade level. And in kindergarten through 5th grade, we'd be able to manage them with the numbers that the board actually proposes as a kind of ideal number. So we're talking about 20 for those primary grades and going up to as many as 24 for the upper grades. But if we want to do a 4-tier system, we'll also have 3 to 4 preschools. And when we have 3 to 4 preschools, that means, or actually 4 in each building, and it could be, I think there's 3 preschools and a pre-K in each building. Then that means that you're servicing 30 to 36 students. You know, you'll have morning children and afternoon children. So that's where we really receive so many of our numbers that are kind of necessary to make that 604. And I think that way you really have a wonderful, you know, you're really condensing and putting your preschools in 2 big buildings so that Nadine Macklin, who oversees that end of special education, is available in those 2 buildings. You can also combine your resources. I know we've talked about early childhood centers, and maybe that's something that would be down the road, but for now, having them in 2 buildings is much better than spread across town. So, and that's where we're going to be able to see, you know, and have 604 students in class sizes of 20 to 24, rather than in class sizes of 25 to 27.
So is this
I don't know
about,
if anybody has questions about that.
well, you know, it's really hard to kind of see this because we're just looking at this and it's on a screen. I don't know
Right.
about anyone else, but it is, I guess it's nice to have a nice brush kind of conversation about this, but maybe this really needs to be in a committee of the whole, Dr. Grenier, because
Okay, sure.
it's, I don't know about anyone else. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself and I can't see anyone else. So,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, we'll put it on the first COW meeting. That'd be helpful.
okay. All right.
I think the good news is it's showing you that based on our enrollment numbers from last year, we're able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, that the 3 existing schools are around 400. And then the 2 new schools will be at least at 600, which is the expectation
Okay.
in order to.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to keep going unless there are questions.
I appreciate that.
I sent out the neighborhood zone excuse me, platform that Mike Zuba developed, and so we are going to allow people to go on this really interesting platform. They will plug in their address, and then parents will give us feedback as to what they think about the possible neighborhood zones that are being created for the 3 elementary schools. It's the same platform that Mike Zuba and Pat Gallagher showed us, but I didn't want to overwhelm the parents the first couple of weeks of school, so I waited until today. And I'll get feedback next COW on that.
Well, it seems like those 2 things are somewhat related in terms of the enrollment and
Yeah,
elementary
that's right.
schools and the neighborhood survey. Lee, do you have a question?
I do have a question. I think it's important, and I realize it's not exactly what I'm talking about, but I think we need to come up with the names of the 2 elementary schools. We have to stop calling it West Side and Cutler.
Yeah.
I mean, I do the same thing. I think it's important that we make that decision, and that is a decision, I think, for the board.
I believe we'll have that decision within a few weeks, right, Susan?
Working on it. We just met with a committee.
Yep.
And we're putting together a survey, and we want to, you know, find out from our families and our staff what they are looking at, what they're concerned about. And we got Jim Streeter on the Zoom. Woohoo!
So I'm ready to move on, Kim.
Please do.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that the conflict that involved the grant funding for the middle school, because of the Title IX issue with the Office of Civil Rights, has been resolved. there is a compromise that was achieved. Fortunately, we basically said to the Office of Civil Rights, we would not use the money for interscholastic sports, which of course we never used anyway because it's a middle school grant, and that we would abide, or we would comply with the decision of the federal court. And they said that was acceptable, and they will release the money. Actually, it's supposed to be released on Thursday. So we should get, we'll get the full $704,000 for this year, and we believe the $704,000 for next year. So that matter is over, and I am delighted to say it's behind us. And then the last thing is just the sports. It's going actually quite well, as I mentioned. All the low and medium risk sports are ongoing. That's to say, cross country is a low risk. Volleyball, field hockey, soccer, they are proceeding. Indoor volleyball, but with masks. And then the football thing, as I said, you might look at it in the paper. There's a nice little video. It was kind of a fun thing. The receivers and the quarterbacks have this kind of touch football thing, and the linemen, they run with like 100 pounds on their back and all kinds of. One of our kids was interviewed, one of our linemen, and he said, you know, linemen never get any of the credit. They sort of labor anonymously. And he said, you know, tonight we were in the limelight and it was kind of fun. So I think the kids are practicing every day. They're working out, they're engaged. And as our coach, who's a terrific person, Mike Ellis, said, you know, it's not the football we wanted, but it's fun and it's competitive. And and those two teams, the NFA and Fitch team, got together, and it was really quite moving. I'd encourage you to look at the day. There's a nice little, both on the social justice part of it and on the athletic part of it. So we'll proceed. I believe there are 5 contests. It will take us through the month of October, and then that season will be over. And there's a possibility that there may be a real football season in March and April.
Wow.
To be determined. So, and one last thing, spectators. 2 spectators can come to an outdoor sport. We give them a ticket. They put their name on it and their cell phone number for contact tracing purposes. This is like a big deal, and no spectators are allowed. But we're live streaming the games. The only indoor game is volleyball. So volleyball is being live streamed. No spectators. And that's
Any
it
other
for me.
questions? Okay. Any other questions for that? Rita? You need to be unmuted.
Okay, Dr. Kinnear. There was a wonderful article also that Mike DeMar wrote about John, you know, the whole game between NFA. But this is my question. If they do play in the spring football team, how do the coaches' stipends work? I mean,
Yes.
this is what I couldn't quite understand. You know, I mean, they're doing it, but it's very limited. It started much later, so it's not the
Yeah.
same.
Right.
But I was curious about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because the CIAC recommended spring, the ECC went along with these, you know, Friday Night Lights games, 7 of them.
Well, I actually, as soon as you asked the question, my eyes immediately went to Ms. Horler, because
Yes.
that's my #1 agenda for our next, we need to negotiate this.
Yeah,
There are some ideas. Yeah, I can tell you, some districts have said to the football staff, here's your stipend, do what you can in the fall, and but it's the money for the whole year, so pace yourself. That's one district's view of it. I'd really want to take a look at how much time they put in, and then potentially what might be required in the spring. But we really have to. That's a Schedule C thing that we'd have to negotiate.
Okay, and I know the governor came up with new winter sports rules today
We did. I
for,
didn't
and
see
also
that.
the spring, like lacrosse and
Yeah.
so forth. So you might want to check
Thank you.
those out
Yeah,
also.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. All right, so Liz.
Just really quick, Dr. Grenier, how will this impact like the spring sports? Because we have, like if you have football players that play baseball or whatever.
Right. It won't impact it. That's why I said March and April. The season would be over by mid-April, and the players would be able to transition to baseball or lacrosse.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
I guess we're depending on a temperate climate.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're over to the business manager's report. Thank you guys for sticking with me.
Hello. So the object code summary, attachment number 1, I can put it up if you want, or we can just, I think it was included with all your
I think
packages.
all got that in our packet, so I think it's too hard to do a
Yeah.
screen share and have a
I
conversation.
agree.
Hard
agree.
enough on paper.
So the object code summary does show a projected unexpended balance of 27,828. It's relatively early in the year, so many things are still at budget. We did have some, there is some projected savings due to some resignations or retirements that we hadn't taken into consideration in the budget. So there is some savings there, but there's also some additional expenses. So, at this point, we're still on track. We think that we should be within budget at the end of the year, but it is early.
Any questions on that? If not, Ken, just go ahead and maybe, you know what, Ken, maybe if you could just kind of go ahead with all of yours, and then we'll I'll entertain any questions.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you.
So the health insurance report, which was attachment number 2, that's showing that this is just for the month of July. So this is the first report for FY21. And it's showing that we're at 44.8% of budget. So we're still being impacted. The claims are still being impacted by COVID-19, what's being called COVID-19 deferred expenses. So those are elective or visits that people aren't doing because of the situation. The MDG, who is our consultant for healthcare, is still suggesting that we hold on to any reserve that would have been built up at the end of last year to pay for what we expect to be additional claims once these COVID deferred activities actually come to fruition within this year. Okay, I'm going to move on to COVID related funding. The Corona Relief Fund, that's $1,227,291. This is a fund established by the state, needs to be expended by December 30 of 20. Majority of this fund is for salaries. There's $175,000 for PPE and cleaning supplies. The remainder is for salaries. The application needs to be submitted by this Friday, and we are on track to do that. The salaries is going to be mainly substitutes to cover for folks that are out for COVID-related reasons, as well as some additional student support, such as social workers and some tech support, so that we can get through what we need to get through the end of this year. The CARES Act funding, this is a fund of $664,406. This is from the federal government. This needs to be expended by September 30 of 22, so it's a much longer period than the Corona Relief Fund. We have put in an application, and at this point we need to do a revision on that because the Corona Relief Fund kind of was going to pay for some of those expenses. So we just kind of got to rejig it and put it back in, and we're in good shape to do that. On the Alliance District funding, this funding was, we anticipated an amount last year of, it was about 300,000. That is still being worked on by the Department of Education, the Office of Policy and Management. And so we're still waiting on a decision on that, but we're cautiously optimistic that they're at least talking about it. But at this point, we do not have that Alliance District funding in place. And then the last item is the impact aid application process. So annually, we have to get from all of the students, if their families are federally impacted, meaning they either live or work on federal land. And this impact aid, this is a revenue line item of about 3.2 million, so it's very important. The situation that we have is creating some issues in that it needs to go out to all families, and we would typically hand it out on October 1st to all the students, with not all of them being in at the same time. It just creates a little bit of a headache getting them all out there, but we're going to do the best we can. We feel like we have a good plan in place, and we're hoping that that won't be impacted by any of this.
So that means that anyone and everyone that's hearing this Board of Ed meeting tonight is to encourage our families to fill out this form and get it back to us, because it is a huge help for our budget. That $3.2 million goes a long way. So please, all who are listening, get the word out. Any questions for the business manager? All right, hearing none, we're on to Mr. Kilpatrick. I'm going to ask the same thing, is that can we please let Sam go through his list, and then if you have questions, then we can ask them at the end of his list. You're on, sir.
Hey, good evening. Made it back just in time, I guess. Had a poor connection at home, so I ran back to the office because I didn't want to sound like poor Zay. Actually, even some of you were cutting out on mine. It kept a note came across my screen that said I have an unstable connection. And for the kind of money that we pay for our connections, I don't know why I would have an unstable connection, but I think we need to talk to those guys about that. So the first item is the Groton Middle School completion. And the work is continuing on a daily basis there. They're working on the black box theater, the small performance area, and they are to be completed by the end of October. The gym floor, as you know, had some issues. A part of the gym floor had to be removed. The new wood is in the gym, but they are acclimating it to the site. In other words, they're adding some humidity to the wood so that it is of the same moisture content as the existing floor in there. So once that stabilizes and everything reads the same moisture content, they will continue laying the floor, finishing and then striping and so on. Again, that too will be the end of October. Roofing work continues. Basically the rubber, we'll call it rubber roofing, is on, and what they're finishing now is some metal work around the edges, and then what they call coping will go over the top of the metal edges. And so again, that is to be completed by the end of October. It's pretty critical that we get the roofing work done. Those rubber roofs are quite slippery when you get frost on them or ice and snow. But even just a little bit of frost becomes pretty dangerous for the roofers. So the sooner they can get that done, the better. You may have heard that on the artificial field, we painted the lines on for the field hockey. And I hand delivered the keys to the field hockey coach and her assistant on their first day, and it was quite thrilling to see the girls I don't know if there were 50 girls running around that field, but they were ecstatic, and it really was a thrill to see the kids on that field. So we're going to continue to keep the lines painted until again the contractor comes back. Peter was hoping that we could wait until the black box theater and those larger spaces, including the gym, are completed, so that if they need larger spaces for classes or for the kids, that they'd have places other than out on the field. So those lines will go in as soon as those other areas are completed. You may also know about the new driveway that is planned for the end of the building, which is toward the Fort Hill end of the building. There'll be a new turnaround, essentially driveway for the special ed buses, which will allow the buses to come, not be in the main driveway blocking parents that are coming into the building. So they'll be able to pull into this new driveway and allow the kids to get out without interfering with parental traffic. They're probably over, I've been there a couple of times, there's probably over 100 parents dropping off kids in the morning and picking up in the afternoon. So it's a lot of traffic out there right now. There are still a few items inside the building that are being worked on. One of the things, they put temporary countertops on some of the lab counters in the science rooms, and those will be done on weekends or nights. And again, hopefully by the end of October, that stuff will be done. And then when all this stuff is done, there will still be what they call a punch list, which is small items. It could be as simple as something that didn't get a second coat of paint somewhere, or an item that a lock set that isn't working properly, window that isn't operating properly. Oh, well, these windows don't even operate, but some pretty simple things on that list that may still need to be taken care of. And that punch list could go on for a period of time, a month or two, before all of that stuff would be taken care of. So that's the middle school. The elementary schools, in case you haven't been by, I think Mark also posted a video of Cutler today. And you can see that there's steel in the air. The framing is up. And the same is true for the West Side site. So there's steel up in the air. And of course, they continue to move along on those projects. Which brings me to the portable relocation. The portable buildings that are at Cutler and the building that is at West Side, I have been told for the last 3 weeks, I believe, that they will be delivered here any day now. So I noticed that they haven't been lifted up yet, so they're still there, but we're expecting that we're ready for them here. It's just a matter of the contractor picking them up and delivering. The next item on the list is custodial cleaning process. So an update on that. It took us quite a bit of time to finally get our full complement of additional custodians for the schools so that we could do the extra cleaning in the buildings. Finding part-time custodians that wanted to work the day shift took us probably about 5 weeks to get that full complement. And while we were doing that, Wendell Gaston, who's our custodial supervisor, was well, he's got a shaved head, but he was pulling his hair. He was really pulling his hair out, moving people around to make sure that we had people constantly moving around our buildings, cleaning high-touch zones in the lavatories on a about every other hour basis. So that work continues. And of course, we have got some additional part-time custodians for our Wednesday cleaning as well. So, and when we get to a week, there are going to be a couple more weeks where we have 4-day weeks. And on those weeks, we will have additional workers, custodial help on Tuesday nights, or actually on Wednesday nights, because it'd be Tuesday, Wednesday, those cohorts. On Wednesday nights, we'll do the additional cleaning on Wednesday night with the extra people, so that the Thursday, Friday cohort will come into a clean, safe space. The next item is the food service. I guess you probably all, I hope you all got to see that article in the paper today. Ernie has
Beautiful piece.
there,
Yeah.
and it's really remarkable what the food service people have done since the beginning of the COVID situation. Way back in, I guess it was like March 13th that this whole thing started, and Ernie and his staff of while they were being paid, they volunteered to come out and go out into and hand meals out to the public, to people in their cars as they pulled up, and have continued to do that since March. And I think they kind of, I was hoping I was going to be able to give you this news firsthand, but apparently it did state in the article that they've served over 14,000 meals since the beginning of this. It's quite remarkable.
Wow.
And Ernie did want me to, again, plead with any parents that might be listening to this meeting to please get those free and reduced forms back in as soon as you can, because again, they are very important for the funding for those for the schools. So if they can get them in, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Any questions for Sam?
No, I just want to congratulate Ernie and the whole staff at the food service. It was a wonderful article, and I love the pictures of the students sitting, you know, socially distanced in 6th grade, and the meals looked absolutely delicious. My little granddaughter said, "Could we get those meals?" I said, "Well."
Any other questions or thoughts? If there are none, I am going to be moving us on to committee reports. Policy, Lee, I know we have a lot that we're talking about tonight.
We, tonight, we will go on the second reading of 3. We have a first reading of another one. We continue to meet regularly, and we will be meeting next week.
Thank you. Curriculum, Andrea?
We met on the 14th of September, and we met with some of the teachers in the elementary level, and also actually there were teachers from the other levels as well. And we talked about handwriting and whether cursive was should be really resurrected. And it's interesting because I thought that it was going to be that the literature was going to support that, but actually it doesn't. So we're going to continue that conversation at the Curriculum Council. And we also talked about spelling and the resources that are available in the district right now. And at that time, we also had representation from the library, the Groton Library, and we talked about one community and one card. And that too, we're going to be meeting again. That's an ongoing conversation. We're going to be meeting with Dennis Clocon regarding the security issues in terms of students' information.
That's kind of what we were talking about at the committee of the whole last week, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Jay?
So we met on September the 8th for finance and facilities. We discussed a lot of things that we discussed today in terms of the COVID funding. We also got a report about the tuning the HVAC systems in the schools to make sure that as much fresh air as possible was going into the buildings. And we also received a report that I guess it's now in the hands of the town council about solar panels on the middle school. And if an agreement can be reached, then it would come back to both of us to enter into power sharing agreements for installing those.
Any questions for Jay? If not, Jay, would you be willing to, just for simplicity purposes, could you talk about the athletic fields at all? Because I know that you're on that committee as well.
Yes, so in the spring, the town council created an athletic fields task force. The idea was, rather than deal with all the fields in town on a piecemeal basis, they wanted sort of a master plan for what the needs are, whether it's school property, town property. So all summer, the committee met. Kim appointed me to that committee, and so various stakeholders came in from the school district, as well as the various teams that use fields and space. And the idea is to forward this master plan to the town council. I believe it'll be voted on perhaps next month, and then it'll be in their court to determine whether that's something that we can finance.
Jay, thank you for being part of that committee. Rita, Learn?
Yes. At our meeting on last Thursday, Dr. Ryan Donlin, who is the Associate Executive Director of Learn, he presented Learn's reopening plans for their schools, and also how they spent the past 6 months hosting virtual one-on-one sessions, town hall, staff meetings to collect feedback from students, staff, and families. In light of all this feedback, they had to hire a new online learning coordinator to help with their instructional frame for the year. And I had a question, Dr. Grenier. Do we have someone in that role?
Not yet, no.
Not yet. Are we thinking about it?
To coordinate all the,
Online learning coordinator. I know they have a little very different type of school, because they're so spread out, but I was just curious if
well,
we had that.
we've discussed it, but no decision yet. You know what, I'm gonna add it to the COW and we'll talk about it.
Okay, thank you. They have 30% of their families opted to go fully remote at Learn at all the schools. At the Ocean Avenue Learning Academy, they have 67 students going 4 days a week, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which is really great. And that includes 18 to 21-year-olds. This was interesting, I thought. They always do a Teacher of the Year presentation in September for the board. And this year, they decided at Learn that because of what all the teachers did this past spring, that they're all Teachers of the Year. So they couldn't select one. They said all certified staff were designated as Teachers of the Year, which I thought was really wonderful.
Yeah.
We're going to start negotiations with the Learn Teacher Association, and also they're having a newly formed administrators. They've never had an administrators union, so that is now being formed by the administrators at Learn. So there was some other things, but I think mainly the important part was listening to the other districts and how everyone is facing these same challenges. But a lot of them are going 5 days a week, the smaller districts.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. But they're mostly, except for Old Lyme, most of them don't have high schools. So that's it.
Thank you. So Groton Scholarship, Lee?
You're the one you're chairing that. Are you talking about the TCRTM?
The scholarship.
They said before that they begin to meet in October.
Okay.
And they promised to be in touch with me.
All right, awesome. Yes, I have been chairing a little bit of the town council, the RTM. Our next meeting is actually going to be next week. And I actually, what's happening in the board, I think actually has been dominating the liaison meeting just because of just what's been happening in terms of the hybrid and stuff. But Rita, I'm going to bring to the liaison your question about sort of the understanding connectivity
Yes.
for all residents of Groton, because I'm assured that there's probably some people who would like to do Zoom meetings or whatever, or activities, but cannot because of the activity.
Looking for jobs, going for job interviews, just
Right.
everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you. We should be having a Board of Ed, AGSA, GEA soon.
Soon.
It's in October. I
Is
never
there
know.
a date?
We don't have a date yet.
Let me.
Okay.
Maybe I'll get Joyce on that to kind of pull when
Yeah.
we can get
All
together
right.
if possible.
We'll send out a note tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Grenier. And then the last thing, negotiations. I mean, I think negotiation, we met last month, just making sure that we go over the teacher's contract to meet the needs of what's happening with the pandemic. The superintendent search, we're actually going to be, at the end of the meeting, we're going to be voting on the leadership profile that was put together by our search coordinator, who is on the Zoom meeting as we speak. But we will go into more further detail in a little bit. And this is based on the surveys and the focus groups that she was able to do. And I bet you she's going to kind of walk us through the leadership thing. And so I'm going to now move us on to action items. The next part is the consent agenda. And this is where all matters listed are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion with points of clarification if needed. Will accept a motion for the approval of the regular meeting minutes of August 24th, 2020, and the approval of special meeting minutes of September 8th, 2020. Liz, can I have a second?
Second.
I've got Rosemary. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please signify by raising your hand or saying hi. Hi, not hi. But you can say hi to me if you want to. All those opposed, abstain. The motion has carried. We are now moving on into our old agenda. Our old agenda, our old business. Rita, would you be willing to read the motion for the first one?
Yes. To approve as a second reading, policy P 1230, parent organizations and booster clubs.
I have a second to that.
Second.
I've got Jane. Susan or Lee, do we have any comments about the second reading?
The only question I had was I wanted to see, I think we all wanted to see what the dues were, particularly for the physical education booster group, and it's $10 a year. So that seems.
It was very nominal. And I know that this really came out of even audits. So Ken was instrumental in helping us frame this out and the use of CABE. So.
Yes.
Any other comments about this? All right, hearing none. All those in approval of this for the second reading of the policy P 1230, parent organization booster clubs, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hands. Oppose? Abstain? The motion has carried. Thank you, Liz. I will eventually get it. So Liz, would you be willing to read the motion for number 2 in old business, please?
To approve as a second reading P 6172.6, distance education.
So Susan or Lee, if you would be willing to talk a little bit about the second reading?
We had talked about this during the first reading.
Kim, you need a second for that motion first.
Oh, Joan, I love you. May I have a second? Rita. Rita is going to help me out here. Now, Susan and Lee, can you talk about the second reading?
So we did talk about this during the first reading. It's always been Dr. Grenier's goal that every student who goes through Fitch will have this opportunity to have online learning. We brought in Apex Learning a few years ago and used it very successfully, even in course credit recovery. But this policy even expands so that high school students can also earn academic credit applied towards graduation or for college readiness. So, but there's an outline of when and where they can get these courses. If, for instance, they're not offered in the district, that's one of the ways. So we've kind of gone over this a couple times and, you know, had wanted to have a policy like this even before we went full remote.
Is there any other discussion about the second reading? Hearing none. All those in favor to approve a second reading of the policy P6172-6, distance education, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion has carried. Rosemary,
Yes.
do you have any, would you love to read the motion for number 3 in old business, please?
Few things would make me happier. To approve as a second reading, policy P6114.81, emergencies and disaster preparedness.
Can I have a second to the motion, please?
Second.
I have Liz. Discussion, please.
So this one is really definitely related to the sign of the times that we're in. And it really authorizes the board to temporarily waive certain policies if needed and grants the superintendent the temporary policies to address COVID-19 pandemic emergencies. So we've actually, even before writing this policy, we've had to come to terms with some different ways of instructing our kids and being able to safeguard them based on, you know, the governor's recommendation and the Connecticut State Department of Education. So this policy was written by CABE for the times that we're in and gives us some flexibility in all of that.
I appreciate you getting on that so quickly, Susan. Any other further discussion? All those in favor to approve as a second reading policy P6114.81, emergencies and disaster preparedness, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain? This motion has carried. We are now moving into to new business. Jay, would you be willing to read under new business the motion for number 1, please?
I move to approve as a first reading policy P4118.237/5141.8, face masks and coverings.
Can I have a second to this, please?
Second.
I got that. Thank you. Thank you, Rosemary. I thought I had spoken, but nothing came out of my mouth. Joan, it was seconded by Rosemary. So Lee and Susan, can you help us go through this?
So we really got some help from our friends. You know, Leah Hendricks, who is in charge of our nurses, really helped us out with this, and CABE. Denise Doolittle has also worked on this one. And Rita actually mentioned it. Learn, I think, has just accepted this kind of a policy. Of course, sign of the times again about face masks. We've been given a lot of guidance through Ledgelight Health and through the governor's office and the Connecticut State Department of Education. There's actually an addendum on face masks. So taking all of those things into consideration, we really outlined what was necessary in the wearing of face masks. And including transportation and the different kinds of face masks that are worn. I know we've purchased some that have the clear mouth spaces for students who either are learning ASL or need to use American Sign Language and be able to see lip reading. So I think our district has been pretty prepared in all of this. And, thank you to Sam's office and to Ken for getting the PPE and the supplies that we've needed. So it goes through, that while we all, expect kids to wear face masks, there are certain tenuous situations where either a child has trouble breathing, or if there's an emergency situation where the mask has to be removed.
Are there questions? Andrea?
I have an observation about on page 3 or 4, and it's really in the middle of the page. It says teachers or schools may provide incentives for compliance with the face mask requirement. I object strenuously to that. I don't believe that we should be even suggesting that you would be rewarded for something that's so serious as this. I think it gives the impression that well, if you don't do it, you don't get the lollipop, but if you do it, you do. No, this is serious business about not spreading a virus or contracting the virus. And I don't even know why that is in our policy.
Probably because it was first suggested by CABE. There are certain students who are in self-contained programs that they are doing some behavioral work with students so that they understand that it's necessary to wear them. And, it like an ABA program so that, yeah.
I understand that. And I would, under certain circumstances, I would support that.
Right.
I don't
but it
believe
doesn't need to be there. I agree.
Does not believe
no,
it.
I agree. Thank you for pointing that out, Dr. Ackerman.
Rita?
And also the sentence right before that, where it says that if a visitor refuses to wear a face covering, the facility, you may be denied. I think it should be, they are denied.
Right, will be.
Access. So I think that should be modified. And the other thing that was brought up at the CAVE meeting when we went over this policy, it also should policy should clearly state which types of masks are acceptable. So on the Connecticut's website, they tell you which ones are acceptable, and then the ones that are not, the ones that you just can pull up and, aren't. So I also feel we should include in there a sentence about which ones are not acceptable for face coverings.
So there is the definition of the different types of face covering on the first page.
Right.
So you think that,
yeah, there still should be one, which ones are not acceptable to wear.
Okay.
And that is covered in the, I believe, quite a few schools have adopted that. Yeah.
The addendum from the Connecticut State Department of Education.
Yes.
And
Rita? Booth. Andrea?
And also, the sentence just above the one that I read is, because it's not parallel, it's hard to understand what it really means. So I may be, with your permission, I may go over and work on that with Erica, if that would be.
Thank you. We would appreciate that. And what I'll do is I'll bring this back to the policy committee, which is next week, and get some corrections made on this before we bring it back to you for second reading. We'll look at it again carefully.
Great.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for your work on this. Any other questions about the second reading? The first reading. Sorry, first reading. All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving for the first reading, the policy of oh my goodness, I lost it. P4118 .237/5141.8 face mask / coverings. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oppose?
I'm opposed until that's changed.
Okay.
Me too, until those changes are made.
Me too.
E3.
Okay. So
I think you need to.
Okay.
So can I just say the problem is going to be that we're going to have to vote on this for the first time next month at the end of the month. So if you, with your permission, if we can get this revised for the policy committee and then bring it back, you'll have that opportunity to agree or disagree.
And then the second reading, you can absolutely deny, because right now,
Oh,
the
I see.
first reading, the
Yeah.
means that we have to go back to, and then
Oh,
absolute
well,
first reading, and then the next month, a second reading.
So we
So-
might not get to face masks until Christmas.
oh, no. Whatever needs to be done, that's what I'll do.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
So
so,
we're gonna take the nose away?
no, you know what? I think, Joan, I don't know if this is allowed in Robert's rules, but I think I would just like to get clarification of the vote. So I'm just asking for all those.
I have 4 no's, which means there are 3 yeses, which means the motion is defeated.
Okay,
But can we redo it and get clarification, because some people didn't quite understand that?
Joan, what's the ruling on that?
Well,
Majority.
there wasn't another motion. I say you just count it again. Take the vote again.
No, wait a minute.
No.
Just a minute. If it doesn't carry, then this policy doesn't carry. But if, but it's, right. However, does that mean then it can't come back and be revisited? That's what I'm
No.
asking.
No, it can come back.
It can't come back as a second reading so that we could vote on it.
Pass it.
No, it'll come back as a first reading because they've defeated the first reading tonight.
That's right.
So,
But it can come back as a
Oh, yeah.
first
It'll
reading.
come back as a first reading.
Okay.
But
Then that's
it delays the opportunity to have this
There you
policy
go.
in place
There you
when
go.
we need it.
There you go.
It just delays it for 2 more months.
Hey,
Isn't
Joan?
there anything in Robert's rules that covers, like I did not understand the process. So isn't there anything that
Well,
covers?
I could, how about if we say this? Somebody makes a motion that you pass you pass this first reading with the understanding that it will be revised by the policy committee.
Right.
Or
Done that.
passed as amended. Passed
I'll
as
move
amended.
that. Yeah, I'll move that.
Yes.
I can go with that.
So Joan, the second motion, we need a second for it, would be
Yes, we do.
this policy as amended.
Right, okay. All right, so we now have amendment. I need to.
Oh, I think
have
he's
Mike-
right.
So I think Mike is
Right.
right.
Yeah,
So
I do.
we need to Take the motion.
Do you
Andrea
need
made a-
somebody to change the motion?
No,
Yes.
we need a second.
All right,
Wait
I'll
a minute, a
second
second for
the
what?
change.
For-
For the changing the motion?
Right.
To
So
pass
Mike,
the motion.
hey, wait a second. Whoa, wait. Mike Whitney is correct. It is the person in the majority can reconsider the vote. That's how it goes. So for the 4 no's, I need someone to reconsider the vote.
I'll
Andrea,
reconsider.
no, Rosemary, I've got
Oh.
Andrea. So we now have a motion that provided that the changes to the first reading has occurred, or I can't remember what was said, but you are reconsidering the vote for the first reading.
Yes.
Wait a second. Andrea, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can I have a second to that?
Second.
Second.
I've got Jane. Any further discussion?
My apologies, that's all.
Jay, thank you, and I'm sorry I didn't recognize you. In the mayhem, I didn't see everything. Okay, all those in favor of the vote to reconsider, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? That has carried. We're going to move on.
Thank you. We'll do a good job revisiting it.
In the interest of time, Kim,
No.
I'd recommend we table number 2.
Yep, and because I think I would like to have that go into a committee of the whole, because it's been a long time since we've talked about class sizes and stuff, and it might be worthy of having that, considering the fact that we're having 2 new elementary schools. We have a new middle school. So I would like to have that in our committee of the whole. So provided that no one is going to complain about that, we're going to table agenda number under new business number 2. We're going to put that to a committee of the whole, and that will come back for a vote next month. So, I don't know, Lee, do you have any, can you please read the motion for number 3, please?
Lee, you're muted.
Lee, you are not muted. I mean, you are muted.
Now I am
Yep.
unmuted. A motion to approve the 2021 Board of Education meeting schedule.
Thank you. Can I have a second to that?
Second,
Joan, did you get that? I got Rosemary. I don't know about you.
Yes.
All right. And so do we have any discussion? The reason why we have to vote it on is because Joe needs to make sure that this gets to the town clerk, so it can get posted.
I have a question. I would like, we usually only have 2 meetings in December. So the committee of the whole on December 6th could be the meeting, and then December 13th, and not have a meeting on December 20th.
Like that.
I thought the same thing. The 20th is kind of close.
Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
it is.
Yeah. So if we could just make that revision, I would support this.
How do people feel about that? Any discussion on that?
Good idea.
Yes. I support Rita.
All right. Well, we always support Rita.
Right.
All right. So, all those, any more discussion? All those in favor of accepting the meeting schedule with that revision, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? That motion has carried. All right. Jane, could you, or Jay, have you read?
Yes.
Okay, so I am, Jane, would you please read number 4, please?
Okay, discussion and possible action regarding recognition of October 2nd, 2020 as National Custodian Day.
Can you read the motion, please?
Yep, to recognize October 2nd, 2020 as National Custodian Day and to direct the superintendent of schools to send a letter of appreciation to the custodial staff.
Definitely.
Can I have a second?
Second.
I've got Lee. Any discussion about that?
Special letter this year. These guys did a phenomenal job.
Yes.
Well, not only are they doing COVID and all the extra responsibility for that, but they're like working on a Groton middle school. And I mean, just all the stuff that they are working. Sam, your group is just amazing. All right. If there's
Kim,
yeah.
I just wanted to add that in my experience as being a principal in Groton, I don't think that there's a finer group of people in terms of dedication to the job. And I mean, we're all dedicated, but they go above and beyond in my view.
Thank you, Andrea. Well said. Okay, not hearing any further discussion. All those in favor to recognize October 2nd, 2020 as National Custodian Day and to direct the superintendent of schools to send a letter of appreciation to the custodial staff, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstain, that motion has carried. So let me orient our group and then I'm going to send it over. I'm going to actually ask for a motion, but I'm going to just orient ourselves and the rest of the people who are on our Zoom call. Is that, as people know, Dr. Grenier has signified that he will be retiring from the school district, which then places our school board as a search committee And we have been actively involved with Mary, and Mary is with us. She's actually 3 rows down on my right. I have no idea where she is on your Zoom screen. So we are absolutely in process. I think, Mary, I'm going to, in the discussion part of after the motion, I'm going to let you kind of describe what you have done. But just to let people know that it is necessary for the school board to approve the leadership profile so that we can move, accept the leadership. Well, it is to approve, to accept the leadership profile so that we can move forward and looking at candidates. So the motion that's going to be on the floor is to accept the Groton Superintendent of Schools leadership profile as presented. Can I have a second to that, please?
Second.
I've got Liz. And so for the discussion, I'm going to start off with Mary, and then I'll open up to the rest of the board.
Great. Good to see all of you. If you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen so everybody will know what it is that I'm talking about at the moment. Okay, you can see it now, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So as you know, the Board of Education was very determined to get as much input as possible into this process. Best practice across the country is for the board itself to serve as the search committee, and yet they benefit tremendously from hearing from all the different stakeholders as part of the process. And though those individuals can't sit around the table with them, it's really important that their views be represented while the board is considering its candidates. So the Groton board encouraged me to meet as many people as possible. We were challenged by the timing, and we did have 13 focus groups and interviews and spoke with 38 individuals through that. And so that wasn't the greatest turnout for the focus groups, but we had a robust turnout for the survey, where we had 270 people participate. And as I put in this report, my last record on doing a search for participation in a survey was lower than yours by 37%. So you blew the numbers out of the water on survey participation. I also just want to take a moment to thank Joyce Medling for her help in getting the word out. She did a tremendous job of circulating. Everybody seemed to know that this was happening. So what did we find? A total of about 308 individuals participated. You'll see the breakdown here. We had 2 focus groups for parents, just about 9 individuals, 1 focus group with the Board of Education, 3 with teachers, 1 with town officials, 1 with administrators, school administrators, 2 with union leaders, 1 with community residents, 1 with non-certified staff, and 1 with central office leadership. And you'll see the breakdown of participation in that. As far as the survey went, you'll see it was predominantly parents. We had 165 parents participate, 44 teachers, 26 support staff, 24 community residents, 22 military families, 19 students, 5 administrators, 5 city officials and staff, 2 recent graduates, and 2 board members. And it says 314 at the bottom because some people identified in a couple of different groups. So what did we find? We asked about strengths, that what people are proud of about Groton and its schools. And then we asked about challenges. And then we asked about the qualities that are desired in a new leader, both the experience, the expertise, the credentials, but also the kind of human being who would be most appropriate for Groton at this time. In terms of strengths, 108 of your participants cited teachers, administrators, and other staff as the greatest strength of the Groton schools. The staff care a lot about education of students and helping kids grow. They're passionate and progressive and tap into different learners. They also come with a variety of different backgrounds, not just education backgrounds. And they have things together as a team. The administrators seem to get the right people in the right places, and staff work incredibly hard, focused on what's good for students and encouraging their development personally and academically. Participants talked about the staff bringing a lot of talent to the COVID crisis and staying in touch with families. Their openness to innovation has allowed them to adapt what they do to these incredibly changing situations. Next was program and academics, and there were 105 participants who cited, and this is a broad category, some aspect of the academics, special ed, IB program, co-curricular, sports, extracurricular as strengths, and 52 kind of were general, felt that the schools are offering a strong, rigorous academic program that's very fresh and exciting. The offerings are vast from a wealth of options, including strong STEM, advanced placement, innovative in teaching. Staff stays on top of new learning approaches and provides a really strong educational value. Additionally, 18 cited the outstanding co-curricular, extracurricular, and sports offerings, programs like robotics, music as a pride of the district, and whole community fundraising to send the marching band and the jazz band and the chorus to England. The arts are strong, and the diverse sports options are a major strength. The IB program is a strength. And then 13 participants identified the special services program as strong with sufficient resources, which is very unusual to hear. 5 talked about moving toward the magnet school model at the elementary level being a strength. Diversity, 80 of your participants cited the community and the district's broad diversity as a major strength. The economic diversity, the ethnic diversity, diversity of attitude. And the teaching staff is more diverse than state average, and the commitment to minority recruitment hopefully will bolster that advantage. The DEI committee, including 93 participants, was evidence of people being excited to speak the language of equity. Moving on then to a connected and cooperative community that supports the schools was considered another great strength, according to 57 participants. You're viewed to have very strong partnerships, open relationships between community members, organizations, businesses, and the schools, the spirit of inclusion, the spirit of volunteerism. The community members participating regularly in school efforts, the community recognizing the importance of investing in students for the future of the town. The military has also provided the schools with impact aid and other supports, such as a military family life counselor, and that kind of mutual relationship was really wonderful. The openness to the military families and the understanding of military structure and its impact on students' education have bolstered that relationship. The fact that the schools also understand and support students and families experiencing the transient nature of life in the military was mentioned. Leadership was also mentioned as a great strength, with 46 participants who found the current district leadership to be the strength, accessible, approachable, dedicated to providing excellent education, collaborative, caring, compassionate culture, where all stakeholder voices are heard. They also identified leaders' excellent communications, especially external communications with stakeholders, as an asset. Participants identified a shared vision of high expectations where students and staff come first, and leaders are viewed to operate openly and transparently, very organized, following through on state requirements and local plans, flexible and able to adapt quickly to changes in a calm and effective way. Finally, 4 specifically mentioned the Board of Ed. Now, you did notice that there were 2 board members who completed the survey, but anyway, the fact that there's only one board of education in a town that has multiple, police departments, fire departments, governments, was considered a strength, that the Board of Ed actually tied together the town. And then the commitment to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion on the part of the board. And then finally, there were 18 participants who mentioned the school's infrastructure, the district's infrastructure, as a strength, combining the high school and middle school campus and allowing for sharing of resources between the schools, the 2 new elementaries, leaving the district with just 1 elementary that has more than 10 years of service. So going on to challenges, the next question, the challenges facing Groton and a new leader. The new superintendent is going to need to address some aspects of program and structure. Again, many participants cited something in the program and curriculum as a major strength of the community. 116 cited some aspect of the program as in need of attention. So 46 talked about structural changes. Right now, and you can imagine I was doing the survey was up and doing the focus groups as the schools were getting ready to open. It's just how the timing has worked out on this. And there was considerable anxiety on both the parts of parents and staff, as there are significant decisions yet to be made. And just concern that the pandemic has kind of thrown off schedules a bit. 18 expressed concern that there's too much flux with too little clear decision-making, for instance, about opening the magnet elementary schools. They're afraid that planning has fallen behind a bit there. The new superintendent is going to oversee the new physical completion of the schools and simultaneously engage the community in major decisions about themes and staffing. And some were asking whether the new initiatives could be slowed down a little bit. That feeling also extended to some academic initiatives. Staff expressed a sense of being pulled in too many directions without the opportunity to really master an initiative. 20 participants mentioned the need for a focus on Groton's overall academic performance, setting high expectations, especially at the secondary level. Some of this may sound a little contradictory, and that's how it came through, but these are the data. We need to focus on high expectations, and the high school needs to shore up pathways for a robust workforce. So not just about college bound, but also for the development and preparation for the real world, quote unquote. 21 participants felt that there needed to be a focus on behavioral, social, emotional, and mental health services. I'm probably not moving forward fast enough. Especially in light of the current COVID crisis, there's a concern about the impact of COVID on the emotional health of Groton's kids. And the schools need to provide greater consistency and structure to foster appropriate student behavior. 8 specifically mentioned bullying, both physical and cyberbullying, as a concern. Again, though considered a strength by many, there were 11 who felt special education poses challenges that need attention, and felt that the district's approach to identifying students is adversarial rather than kind of cooperative with families. Some felt staffing was insufficient. In terms of the diversity, again, you had a lot of people who cited the community's diversity as a major strength. 71 participants identified some aspect of diversity as a major challenge. And how will the staff create learning environments that are equitable for all and focused on excellence and high expectations? And I know your DEI committee has a focus on that, but the community is expressing its support for that direction, I think, and wanting that to be a process of great integrity and depth. They want to see improved results for all demographic groups. And then a further challenge is ensuring staff of color. This may not have come out, I don't know if it's come out in the DEI committee, but ensuring staff of color feel comfortable in the schools. There was an expression of some persistent microaggressions that they experience. Several expressed concern that the DEI committee, the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee, is too large and unwieldy, and that the group needs to examine inequities embedded in the curricula and consider the professional development needs of teachers, undertaking a careful assessment of what equitable instruction and services really look like, and then just to keep that discussion going. And then some fear that the focus on true equity can be sidelined because of the pandemic and the district restructuring. They want to make sure that the depth of the DEI committee work is not lost amid the chaos of the I shouldn't say chaos, but the challenges of the pandemic and the restructuring. Leadership, vision, transparency, communications, and cultivation. Sounds like we just talked about a lot of that as a strength, but there were 64 participants who noticed some aspect of leadership that the new superintendent will need to attend to. They would like to see a fostering of student growth, of staff growth, team building and retention, communications, and vision. In general, participants want to see consistent, equitable, transparent leadership, not overly influenced by parents or the community. And then 23 talked about identifying staff hiring, retention, growth, and team building as challenges. They want to see the administration attract, retain, and support the growth of teachers, and commitment to building the team, and clear chains of command and communications so that staff feels supported. And they'd like to see the administrators getting into classrooms on a daily basis. Some staff members talked about wanting to be fed and inspired to grow. Obviously, COVID-19 is a big challenge, and the timing of my collection of the data reflects that. There were 57 participants who talked about COVID being on their minds. 29 spoke very generally about it and needing to follow the rules. The challenges posed by distant learning was a focus for 23. Keeping students interested in learning, finding better materials for the distance learning, offering students a good social network in a time of COVID, which we know we all need. And then a couple also talked about taking the opportunity that is presented in this incredibly challenging time and considering innovations in teaching and curriculum that this time might help us identify. 5 respondents also talked about the financial strain that COVID protocols create, especially with the potential loss of tax revenues and a strain on community financial health. Finally, or 2 more, finance, budget, and resources were identified as a challenge by 32 participants, with a couple of them mentioning moving out of the designation as an alliance district as a potential loss of revenue, and then the support of construction projects potentially dampening enthusiasm for operating budget increases. The impact of COVID on local and state tax coffers is just really mentioned in the prior section too. The concern about the strain on educational opportunities. Obviously, you also have a fairly complicated budget process with the different governments and all in Groton, and that is going to be a challenge for a new leader. And then the final challenge was student transients. We've talked about the military and the transient nature for students, just that a new leader might find it hard to engage that community of parents. Okay, moving on to desired expertise and qualities in a new superintendent. You'll see that the survey invited participants to rank their their sense of what the most important expertise would be desired in a new superintendent, and the results of that you'll see here were, I I do both their first choices and the top 3 first choices. So what you'll see is that communicates and collaborates effectively in schools and community garnered almost 25% of the first choice respondents. And then it was in 22% of the top 3 choices for people. Shares district-wide vision of excellence in innovative instruction was almost 24% of first choice, and then 17 in the top 3 choices. And the broad base of knowledge of educational issues and practices was 18% for first choice and about 15% in the top 3 choices. And you can see how that breaks down. So we've really covered the combine. If we look at qualities then, in addition to expertise, your participants in a big way want keeping students' growth and well-being as the primary focus, with 33% selecting that as their top choice, and it was in the top 3 choices of a quarter of your participants. And then accessible, approachable, and visible in schools and community was 28%. And decisive, confident, objective problem solver was way down from there. Those top 2 were the clear top preferences. And then you had decisive, confident, and then committed to transparent communication. So moving on from there. All these qualities are essential in a leader, and yet this is the prioritized needs of Groton Public Schools at this point in time. What you need is somebody who can communicate and collaborate effectively and understand the importance of cultivating caring, thoughtful relationships with all stakeholders. You need a spirit of openness, an individual with a spirit of openness, and who welcomes volunteers, and students are encouraged to connect with community resources. So you get that 2-way support. This would need to be a skilled communicator, very present, deeply listening and welcoming advice from stakeholders, and taking the time to really understand varied perspectives, able to absorb and integrate those perspectives, and then explaining complex ideas really clearly, both orally and in writing. Staff will know that the leader hears and understands them and values their experiences and insights. And parents will know that they can reach the leader with their ideas and receive a fair hearing. The community will trust the leader to have the best interests of students and family and the community at heart. The leader is going to work to understand the military structure and the special needs of base families and honor the spirit as well as the letter of the Military Interstate Compact. The superintendent is encouraged to attend events at the sub-base and provide supports from the schools, and is a key partner on the military superintendent's liaison committee. The leader isn't going to be political, but is going to bring a lot of political savvy and reach across the aisles to build coalitions and bridges, and can help that bridging happen in town. The leader isn't going to rely on top-down coercive decisions, but cultivate a collaborative spirit, ensuring clear decision-making processes. The successful student superintendent is also going to rely on those collaborative partnerships in the community with Pfizer and EB and the military. And the schools will understand the skills needed in such realms so that they can better prepare students and expose them to career paths. This person is also going to share a vision of excellence and innovative instruction, where right now staff are feeling like they're reeling from multiple transitions and various initiatives. So people don't, they don't want the apple cart really turned upside down right now. But they do want the leader to appreciate and value what is underway, commit to the school's strategic plan, and keep the momentum going in those directions. They want the leader to see and value the big picture. There are major decisions of a visionary nature that still need to be made in short order to deliver on the promise of the magnet schools with their themes, their staffing, professional development. And I just lost my place. So decisions on those topics will help a lot to reduce some staff anxiety. And they need to look beyond present realities and be a strategic thinker who understands students really deeply and educators and their needs, and get them excited about the district's meaningful, robust school programs. This person needs to have a really, a great passion about learning and pursuing ongoing professional development, both for themselves and for the staff. They're going to be strong academically and, ideally connected to a community, to a university, and keeping really current on educational practice. They're encouraged to observe and gather data before making changes. And some participants talked about wanting somebody who has experience as a superintendent, ideally again in a large school district. But most important, they want this person to be a teacher at heart who never forgets what it's like to be in the trenches. And finally, because of the IB program in Groton, people felt it would be ideal if the person came with that with a background in IB. But a deep knowledge of special education would be very helpful, especially Connecticut laws regarding it. And we're almost there. We have a couple more. This ideal leader will keep students' growth at the heart of every decision and will be familiar with the diverse community in terms of race, culture, socioeconomic status, and will commit to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. I have writ large here, but it's also in depth. It's deeply understanding the practices that can be a deterrent to students feeling that the schools are addressing their learning needs. Encouraging examination of DEI and systemic reform, and examining policies and curricula through an equity lens. This person will recognize that helping staff grow is critical to student growth, and they'll work on building a strong administrative team, delegate the work, inspire others to be creative, build on talent and harness staff potential, and provide coaching when people aren't quite meeting the expectations, or when their growth is stalled, or they just need the coaching to be effective. Accessible, approachable, and visible in schools. Again, staff really want to see this new leader have deep roots in classroom instruction and make a point of visiting classrooms regularly to have the pulse of the school. The leader's compassion, understanding, and empathy are important, and diplomacy. And it's really important that people feel that the leader is on a level playing field with everybody else. They're not above them, but accessible to all. And finally, a decisive, confident, objective problem solver. Make well-informed decisions that reflect the vision and stakeholder voices, and standing by those decisions is really important. The leader needs to have a thick skin, not take things personally, and hold staff accountable to work in alignment with the vision and mission of Groton Public Schools. And then navigate the complex process of garnering resources. That's going to be an important learning for the new leader. Well organized and focused, this tireless leader is going to have the energy for the work and the will to inspire others, and the creativity to adapt to situations, the ability to juggle, and then have the buck stops here mentality. So that's what your stakeholders had to say in a nutshell.
Mary, that was really well written. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have questions from the board members? Lee?
Yes, I read it. I thought it was beautifully written. And I guess I really understand that these anything that is in that is because what the people in Groton want in a new superintendent.
Right.
I think it's just absolutely terrific. The only thing I found wrong is it's not called Fitch Middle School. It's the
I
Groton Middle
realized.
School. Other than that, you
Yeah.
are perfect.
Lee, I realized that when I was looking at something on the website today. So I apologize. I will change.
That's okay. It was beautifully written, and it doesn't say anything about water, walking on water.
I know, yes, it's
Yeah.
implied, isn't it? It's implied.
Thank you, Mary, from me.
Jay, I see you had raised your hands, Jay.
Yes, I just want anyone who may be watching at home to realize that she really fast-tracked this process. And I just want to thank Mary, because I know you spoke to a lot of people, you sifted through a lot of data, and this is really a terrific tool. And I was blown away by the picture that it paints. And I think anyone who is going to be applying knows exactly what their expectations are.
Well, Jay, that's my hope, and that's why I feel like it's important to be as comprehensive as possible on these, so that you make sure that your candidates know, as well as the board, what an ideal candidate would look like. So they know what people know what they're getting into. Thank you.
Rita, you need to be unmuted.
I felt so many of these qualities for our superintendent search already are qualities that Dr. Grenier has. And I feel people have been so impressed with him, with the military community, with the Groton 2020 plan, with so many things that he has brought forward, that we might have to replicate him in some way. So.
I think that you're right, that I think that the sophistication of understanding of your stakeholders about what is ideal is because they've seen what works.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't include anybody's names in this, so, but no, I agree with you, Rita.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments from the board?
I second
that.
Andrea?
I just wanted to thank Mary again for a comprehensive and wonderfully sensitive rendering of the data. And I think Rita is absolutely right. The idea for the responses came from the reaction to Dr. Grenier and his tenure in Groton. And
yes.
I want to jump in. I want to jump in too. I want to thank Mike. He's made this easier for us. We know what we need. We have models of Mike in our heads with all the wonderful things he has done for our population. And so
I'm gonna, I love the fact that we are celebrating Mike because you absolutely deserve it. Specifically, like you announced your resignation and then COVID happened, right? But I really want to keep us to the profile and make sure that we have a leadership profile that represents what we want us to ultimately have as a superintendent. Are there any questions about that? I don't want to impede that.
No.
Jay?
The one thing I want to say about that is, so we all participated in this, and the rest of the input, is from our parents and our teachers and our administrators, and so this is what it is, and so all those voices were heard, and so I wouldn't change a thing.
Except Fitch to Groton Middle School.
Right.
Oh, that's such a small thing.
All right, if I'm hearing no further conversation or discussion about that, I just ask for the motion for all those in favor of accepting the leadership profile as written as presented tonight by Mary. Please say aye.
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 Oppose, abstain, that unanimously was moved forward. Also, please pay attention that Mary to the board. Mary has set forward several dates of next week. We need to get them back so that we can meet with her. So if you can do that, that would be very helpful because we need to, because we're not really doing much of anything else. So we might as well just make sure that our next agenda item is that we're going to be going into an executive session because we're going to be talking about the superintendent search. Bye, Mary. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
What I would like to entertain is I would like us to go back to all the other action items and get those done. And then we can go into an executive session. And then Andrea, I'm just asking once again for you to when we go into that executive session, who has joined us, the date and time when we go out and recording the vote. Okay, if you could do that, that would be great. But so the next thing is letters of communication. Rita?
Yes, I received a letter from Dr. Humphrey about when we were going to go to 5 days of school. And I would like to know too, I thought we talked about the board discussing this sometime in October.
Yep.
That was alluded to earlier on in this meeting, was that we had always talked about the fact that it was going to be an October conversation for the board to have with Dr. Grenier.
Right. I was just curious when in October. I thought it was October 6th, but maybe not, or in that time period frame.
I think
Was it later?
Well, probably be the 12th. There's a COW that night.
Okay, thank you. That's all. And I was just going to again talk about the food service and thank them. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary?
I got a communication from a set of parents who are concerned on the other end of wanting to stay hybrid and heard rumors that we were going to go full time. So just to balance it out.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Can I
Jane?
add, Kim, that just to remind everybody that we're going to be sending out the surveys, so we're going to bring back some data for you guys to make a decision with that will be helpful.
Right. Just also remember that when we go to full-time is really actually the superintendent's decision and not necessarily
Not the board's.
It's the board's input, but it's absolutely Mike, or excuse me, the superintendent's decision.
Yep.
Jane? You need to be unmuted.
Sorry, fatigue is setting in.
I hear you. I'm sorry.
My focus has been on policy, curriculum, and superintendent search.
Okay. Liz?
I had, as everybody, Dr. Humphrey, but also Ms. Harrington. We've had two communications from Ms. Harrington. I just wanted to, remind everybody. But I've also had some conversations with some teachers and some people from the neighborhood about the stresses of this hybrid model. And I just want us to keep that in mind, that as we look at this hybrid model, it is very taxing, especially on our youngest. We have, the small children, and they're struggling with this. But also our teachers who are trying to be 3 teachers at one time. And I just want us to keep that in mind, because they are doing a Herculean job in an extremely difficult situation. And I just wish we could do more for them. But I just wanted to bring that forward because I am getting conversation from them.
Thank you, Liz. Lee, do you have any?
No, I don't, but I want to let everybody know that if you want to get tested and it's free with no questions asked, Monday through Friday, #1 Shaw's Cove in New London, in a tent, outside, no questions asked, get tested.
Yep, I did.
Andrea?
I had the same communications that everybody had.
Thank you, Andrea. Jay?
Yes, I received the same communications as well. And I know it's late, but I just want to echo what everyone said earlier about our appreciation for the teachers, the staff, the paras, food services, our bus drivers, our bus aides, custodial, everybody has really become an essential worker in keeping all of our students safe. And we appreciate what they do every day.
Thank you, Jay. Here, I'm just going to ask that can I repeat exactly what Jay has just said? I couldn't have said it better. Thank you. And so look for advanced planning, the meeting dates that are on for October. And then agenda items, Rita, we're going to take one of yours. We're going to do this. We're going to take the classroom size. And there was another one that you had mentioned that Dr. Grenier wrote a note about.
The middle school, the middle school Wednesdays.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything further? So now I'm going to go back to the motion that's on the floor. I mean, that we skipped, which is the discussion and possible action regarding the approval of the superintendent of schools actually evaluation and contract. And I'm going to ask that we go into executive session. And in executive session, I'm going to ask that Ken Knight, the business manager, joins us. I need a second to that, to go into a second. I think that's Rosemary. Joan, we have Rosemary going into executive session. Mark?
Go for it.
Call your motion.
All right, so I'm sorry. What, Joan?
Call your motion.
We've
Go
already
into
done
executive
that.
session.
And we've already been seconded by Rita. All those in favor? We've already said aye. So we're going to go into, we are now going into executive session with Ken Knight joining us.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
And we join now?
Ken, you're muted.
Come on, Ken, join the room.
Oh, how do I do that? What do I do?
Mark's gonna put you in.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Come on, Mark, get it together.
I put him in there.
All right, see you later.
Yay, we made it.
All right.
We did.
We're back. All right. So I will make a motion that the board approve retroactive July 1st, 2020, a 2% increase to to the current superintendent, Dr. Grenier's salary. Can I have a second to that?
Second.
I have Andrea, you have the second because Joan's not here. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oppose? Abstain? The motion carried unanimously, and I actually said the word.
So proud of you, Kim.
Yeah.
It's the big
This
stuff.
is a marathon meeting.
I had no idea it was going to be like that. Sorry about that. All right.
Well, we uncovered some important stuff, guys.
We did.
We actually really did. I will take a
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor. please say
Jason,
aye.
second. Whoa, Jay.
All right. So, Andrea, we closed the meeting out at 8:53. Okay.
That's why we closed the regular meeting. We came out
That's
of executive session at 8:50.
Right. Hey, Mark, we have ended the meeting.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mark.
Stay
Bye.
well.
Thank you, Mark.
Take care, all.
Yep. Thank you.